Hey guys, so I already did a couple Mario Kart 9 prediction videos, including the roster and courses, but now I wanted to talk about items, and there's a lot of possibilities for what items could be in Mario Kart 9, including returning items, new items, or items that they could scrap that were in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So before we get started, I wanted to mention that I have a goal to hit 30,000 subscribers before the Switch 2 launches, so if you enjoy my content, consider subscribing, and if I hit that goal, I will give away a copy of the new Mario Kart game. So with that being said, I feel like there's going to be a lot of returning items from Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I think all of the basic Mario Kart items are going to be here. I don't think they're really going to scrap any of them, except for like a couple exceptions. I guess regular items that you'd see after DS. You probably know what I'm talking about, but most of the very basic Mario Kart items that you'd expect to see in every game, including the green shell, triple green shell, triple red shell, blue shell, banana, triple bananas, mushroom, triple mushrooms, golden dash mushroom, fire flower, star, the bomb, lightning, and bullet bill will be here. So I definitely think these ones are 99% all gonna be here, since they kind of make up the core mechanics of like Mario Kart and everything, especially like with the green shell, banana, and mushrooms. But also like the fire flower has been a good mainstay as well, kind of getting its modern iteration in Mario Kart 7, while technically having some form in Mario Kart ever since Double Dash, though I don't think it technically wasn't in Wii and DS, but I'm just saying like it technically originated in Double Dash, like the concept of it, but now I am pretty sure it's going to be a mainstay at this point. But also some other items that were in either Mario Kart 8 or added in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like the Boomerang Flower, Super Horn, and then technically an old Mario Kart item that returned after many years in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the Boo. I think the Boo is definitely pretty likely to return, since I think it's a pretty good defense slash gimmicky item. So I think it's pretty good, and I have a good feeling that one is going to return. However, there are 3 items that were in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and also some other recent entries, including some of these, that I have a feeling that they might, like, scrap from this game. I mean, Nintendo might keep them, considering how Nintendo likes to use these items, despite the fact they're not very good. But the coin, I know the coin has a use to it, which increases your max speed, but when you get it in first place, that like kind of slightly decreases the chances that you could get like a defensive item, and it's really annoying. So I actually have an alternative to the coin that might actually be in this game that I'm going to mention when I talk about new items that would kind of replace the coin's gimmick. And then the blooper is just kind of useless. Like, if you're remotely decent at the game, I would say it's not really gonna affect you. It really doesn't do that much. So I really don't think that's gonna return. Like, all it does is just like sprays ink on your screen. You could still see the screen pretty well. You could still see what's going on if you're a decent player. So that's why I don't really think it's a good item at all. And if you get it, you don't really get that much of an advantage there, because usually you get the blooper when you're at a lower placement during the race, so it doesn't really help you that much. And then finally, the Piranha Plant, that's like the only one from Mario Kart 8, like originating from Mario Kart 8, that I don't think is going to come back. Because it is a cool idea on paper, but with its execution, it's not that good. Like, it only gives you like a very small boost in speed and doesn't really deflect every item. You're still vulnerable when you have it, so I don't think the Piranha Plant is really that good of an item. I'd rather see Piranha Plant actually be a playable character, because I'd like to see a wider roster and everything. I mean, we do have PD Piranha, but I do think regular Piranha Plant would be fun to see as well. But yeah, those are the 3 items that I think they'll remove. Nintendo might keep the blooper in, because they've loved to use the blooper ever since Mario Kart DS, and they act like it's a mainstay, even though it's like one of the worst items in every game it's in. But yeah, I just hope it doesn't return. Piranha Plant, though, I could see Nintendo scrapping that, because that was one of the more gimmicky items that Mario Kart 8 had, and I could kind of see Nintendo didn't really see that it was executed well, because they've done that before with like other fairly gimmicky Mario Kart items, where they saw that it didn't really work out well and they removed it from the next game. So yeah, I don't think Piranha Plant's gonna return. I don't think it was in Tour either. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the Piranha Plant was an item in Tour. So that kind of increases the chances that it won't come back. But yeah. And then I also think there's gonna be some returning items from other Mario Kart games, because I think there's a lot of them that were in Tour that were brought back after many years, and I can even see some of them that even weren't in Tour coming back as well, getting like an overhaul or like some new features or improvements onto them and everything. Like, one that I really want to see return at some point is the fake item box. I know the fake item box hasn't been the best item in the games that it was in, but I think it is a really cool concept, and with the power of the Switch 2 that Mario Kart 9 has access to, they could do more interesting things with the fake item box. Like, make it look almost identical to a regular item box until you get really close to it. So basically, like, when you get right up to it, you'd have to, like, move away from it really quickly, or else you'll run into it. I think that's how they could utilize the fake item box, and I think in multiplayer, it could be used, like, fairly well, since you could put it in a place where it would make sense to have a regular item box, because there could be, like, some places where you could strategically place it. And I think they could definitely have, like, an improved version of this item. I think that could work. And then next up, we have the Chain Chomp from Double Dash. I know it kind of sounds redundant to have it alongside the Bullet Bill, but I think the Chain Chomp does work slightly differently from the Bullet Bill to where they could have it as like a variation of a Bullet Bill type item to have more variety in the types of items that they have in Mario Kart 9. Because unlike the Bullet Bill, the Chain Chomp basically becomes a hazard after you stop using it. It basically gives you that boost, and then when you're done with that boost, it kind of becomes like a hazard on the track. I think that is a really cool idea, and that's something that the Bullet Bill doesn't really do. So I think it could still have a place alongside the Bullet Bill. Or it could even give you, like other things that the Bullet Bill doesn't necessarily do. Like, it could maybe take you off-road, or it could have a different level of speed that the Bullet Bill has. Like, maybe with the Chain Chomp, you get it when you're, like, slightly farther up than in the placements than where you would get a Bullet Bill, and you wouldn't go as fast. So I think that they could do some things to balance it around being alongside the Bullet Bill. So I think the Chain Chomp would be nice to see. Then another thing is the Bowser Shell. We've seen that it can coexist with the other shells in Mario Kart Tour, so I think it would be nice to see this one return, because it's like, I think it's cool to have like giant variations of items, because it, like I said, it kind of adds to the variety of things. Even though it does seem a bit redundant, I still think it could work alongside like the other items and things, just giving you more variety. So I think that's another one that could work. And then speaking of giant items, the giant banana as well would be pretty cool to see. That basically, this was in Double Dash and Tour, kind of like the Bowser Shell, and when you run into it, it splits into 3 bananas. I think that's a pretty cool idea, and I think it could work. I don't think it would make it too redundant, because it would just be like another variation and add variety. So yeah. And the next one is kind of a controversial one, but I actually want to see this one return. And that is the Thundercloud from Mario Kart Arcade GP and Mario Kart Wii. You probably mostly know it from Mario Kart Wii. And basically, this item, if you don't know already, when you hold on to it, you get a speed boost, but you have to pass it over to another player before you get shocked and shrunk by it, as you would by, like, lightning. So I think, like, when it was executed in Mario Kart Wii, it wasn't very good, but it is a good idea, I would say. And I think it could work much better in Mario Kart 9, since there are 24 racers, giving you more opportunities to bump into another player. They could even do a thing where you don't have to exactly bump into a player, but you could just get within a certain radius of the player and it would pass over the cloud to them. I think that would make the item a little more balanced. And they could also do some other things, like it could make you go faster than you could in Wii, and also give you a longer amount of time to give it to someone. And then you could also not be punished as harshly if you get shocked by it. Like, let's say you only get shocked and shrink down for a couple seconds, rather than the usual amount of time you would get shocked by lightning. So I think they could definitely make the Thundercloud a much better item, depending on the context. And another one that I could see work in Mario Kart 9 is the Mega Mushroom, since this can work as both an offensive and defensive item, depending on how you use it. And this one actually returned in Mario Kart Tour after being absent for a couple games. And there, it actually was kind of altered a little bit to where it wouldn't be as overpowered and you'd shrink down after you get hit by an item, which I think is a pretty good way of handling it. So I'd like to see this one return with Mario Kart Tour's functionality, and I think it would work pretty well if they did it that way. And an item from Mario Kart Tour, original to Mario Kart Tour, that would be cool to see return is the Giga Bomb. I think that is a really cool item because it would kind of fit in with the theme of like giant versions of certain items, like the Bowser Shell and Giant Banana. And it also functions a little differently from the bomb as well, since it bounces around a little bit and makes it a little more chaotic. So I think it works pretty well, and I think it would be like a pretty good item to get when you're at like a lower placement in the race, since it does seem like a little better than the regular bomb, since it is a little more chaotic and it explodes pretty quickly. So yeah, and the final item is the Ice Flower, and I think this would make a lot of sense to have alongside the Fire Flower, since you could actually like freeze an opponent, and I think it's pretty cool. I think it would work pretty well, and it worked pretty well in Tour, I would say, so if they brought back the Tour functionality of this item, I think it could function pretty well. And then moving on to some new item ideas. I have a few items that I think would be interesting to see. And the first one is a variation of the Lucky 7 and Crazy 8. And I think, depending on what the name of this new Mario Kart game is, kind of, would change what this item's name would be. But if it's called Mario Kart 9, I think this item would be called Cloud 9. I think that makes a lot of sense. But you'd basically get 9 items, and it would work the same way as those other, like, crazy items would be, where you get, like, a bunch of items together. So, yeah, I have a feeling that, like, that type of item is going to return, given how it was in both Mario Kart 8 and Tour. Well, actually, I guess 7 as well. So, yeah, it's been in all of the recent Mario Kart games, so I definitely think it would make sense to see, like, a variation of that item. And the next new item is the Drill Mushroom from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And this would actually be based on the scrapped idea that Mario Kart 8 had, but it would actually be an item rather than a whole gimmick. So they were actually thinking of having a drill gimmick in Mario Kart 8 early in development before they went with anti-gravity, but I think this idea would work much better as a simple item rather than a full gimmick. And I can actually see Nintendo doing this, because they do like to bring back scrapped ideas after a long time. I think they even mentioned that when they were talking about the drill idea in Mario Kart 8. So I could actually see this as an item. In Mario Kart games, like at least the recent ones, like to have items based on recent mainline Mario games. So I think the Drill Mushroom would make a lot of sense, and I think could actually be an item that we could see in the game. And this could allow you to get, like, or avoid getting hit by items or obstacles when you drill into the ground, as well as allowing you to go off-road at normal speeds, and could make players spin out if you drill into them. So I think this would work for a really cool offensive and defensive item, like depending on how you use it. And another item idea I have is the Propeller Box, and basically, as long as you have enough clearance, this could allow you to use the glider at any time. And I think for this, they'd have to like make the glider so in some circumstances it can go faster than you are on the ground, and also give you some advantages from using the glider. So I think it would be cool if you could have like an item where you could use like the glider at any time, especially with shortcuts. I think it would be really cool if you could like, if there's like a gap and you get this item and you could actually go over that gap with the glider. I think that would be really cool. Like, a really cool use of this item, I would say. And finally, we have the item that we actually saw in the trailer. And there's a lot of speculation to what this item could be, but I think it's a fuel tank. And basically, my idea for it is that it would replace the coin and increase your top speed. But also, it fills up a frenzy meter, which would allow you to do a frenzy like Mario Kart Tour whenever you get an item when this meter is filled. I think this gimmick would work way more sense than like a gimmick where you would run out of fuel and you just like stop moving. That doesn't really seem like a very Nintendo-esque mechanic. That really seems like a very poorly thought out idea, I would say, as long as it's like, depending on how they implement it. But I think like if they do a fuel tank thing, it's gonna fill up like another meter that like benefits you instead of being something that you'd have to replenish, or else you just like spin out or just like stop moving. That just really doesn't seem like a good mechanic for Mario Kart. But something like a frenzy meter would be really cool, and having the frenzy mechanic return from Mario Kart Tour would be really cool. I mean, the only difference from Mario Kart Tour is that the frenzy mechanic would really benefit you more in the sense where it would just, you'd just get access to like a ton of items rather than like increase your combo in the game. So I think this would be something that where the meter would fill up more if you're like closer to the back. So I think like maybe like even doing like little things like tricks or drifting like when you're in the back would fill up the meter more, but if you're in like first place or the higher placements it fills up slower. I think they could kind of balance it like that. I think that would be really cool if they treated the fuel tank in that way. And then like of course like increasing your top speed as well, which would be a nice thing to see if they remove the coin. And if this is only on the track, I think that would be pretty good as well. It wouldn't suffer from the same issues that the coin did. But anyways, those are my ideas for items in Mario Kart 9. Let me know your ideas for items and what you think of my predictions down in the comments. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!
Ah!